guarding the Republic through reason, history, and honest conversation, where duty meets discourse and liberty finds its voice. Together we stand watch as citizens, freelanders, and centeneers, the defenders and guardians of liberty, freedom, and the Republic itself. So grab your favorite adult beverage and join me at the Sentinel Republic.
Oh, bartender, that'll be a double shot of your very best watered-down gin right here.
Hello and welcome back to the Sentinel Republic. And today I'm going to talk about my book series and updates for it, for when it's going to be released. So the nonfiction treatise that I did, the Sentinel Republic, talking about sortition and other updates I find that we need to do, is going to be released and available for purchase, I believe, on Amazon today. So that's the good news. I will post a link in the comments. It might not be right away, but as soon as I get it, it will be down there, and we'll go with that. For my fiction series, the Without War There Is No Peace, the first book, The Stories of Dr. Charles Samsov, I did get it back a few weeks ago, and I think I might have mentioned that in my other video. I started going back and reviewing it, and I decided that I'm going to have to rework a few things. So what happens is, you can see my original writing. I start in chapter 1, was actually chapter 18, and I do a little things back and forth here and there. But the transition from the now prologue to my original first chapter that I wrote for this series, I could immediately tell that I had some issues. So I decided, they weren't really pointed out to me, but at the same time, when I was going back rereading my final draft here, I realized I was not writing how I wanted to write, or how I'm currently writing, I should say. My book 2 is totally more the format I'm writing now. It is more in line with a storytelling book, where it's people interacting with each other. So you could see my progression here. And I was learning. I was watching videos. I was watching people talking about info dumping, and people talking about, narrative stories versus, telling stories, and what not to do, what to do, good and bad, from all these different YouTube influencers and other influencers, and advice from my publisher and other folks here. And I actually plan to dedicate it, or when I do my dedication and thank yous, I am gonna put some of these people, mention them by names. And like, for the instance, the first person that really influenced me and motivated me to write this book is Will Jordan. And I don't know if a lot of people know who Will Jordan is, but he is an author, but most notably, and most people recognize him as the Critical Drinker from his YouTube channel. He's been on with Ben Shapiro. I know he's been on other shows and other things, and he has got quite of a name for himself at this point. But I did email him once, actually asking him to ghostwrite for me and what he thought, and he pointed me to one of his own videos that told him, you just gotta do it. Essentially, is what the video said. He gave some advice in this video. He told, yeah, you just gotta tell your story. And it really hit me, and it really said, that's what really laid the groundwork. And this is a while back, mind you, and I didn't do it right away, but it started getting me thinking about it a lot more, because I was actually seeking out ghostwriter or someone to help, because I didn't know how to write. I'll be honest. I mean, I did plenty of essays, and I dropped out of, I left school because I couldn't finish writing historiography. We'll put it that way. So I didn't actually graduate. My writing was not there. I was discouraged. I had a lot of issues with writing. I'm not a great speller. And trying to come up with a 40-page thesis or whatever, it was really tough for me. I'm a robotic writer at the time. But at the same time, it was caused a lot by, I'm a very much perfectionist. I don't take my mistakes easily. So trying to get my writing good in college was very difficult for me. I took extra writing courses. I was trying to get up to speed, but most people that go into history have a writing ability, and I was really struggling with it. I was good with math, which is unusual for history majors and political science majors. I love geography. I could remember every single country and their capital, and I was really good with history. I loved it, and that's my passion. And I loved history, and I love political science. I love governance. I love reading the Constitution. I love civics. But writing wasn't there. But I think what happened is I kept getting marked up, and this is not, and I'd write these great things. I'd have all this information. I was proving myself. That's why I was a great test taker. But I couldn't write those essays that would give me good grades in college. So I didn't have bad grades. I'm not going to say I was failing, but at the same time, I didn't have like straight A's. And I'm, like I say, I'm a perfectionist in that regard. And I took it too personally. And I think I let my confidence get down, and I took it hard, and it was hard for me. But yet these stories were always with me, and they grew with me, and I loved all these passions. I stayed in political science. I stayed in geography. I stayed following history. I loved documentaries. I loved watching both sides. I loved watching debates. I loved getting into, these kind of things. And, it was really fun in that regard, I guess, building this up in my world, and getting to where I'm at now. But having Will Jordan tell me this stuff in an email and reply was just, to me, very helpful, and I can never thank him enough for that regard. I've had a couple other people, and I mean, I know her name, and I can't think of it right off the top of my head. And there's another couple other people I've met with when I was looking at getting it edited and stuff, that helped me guide me through some of this stuff and give me valuable information, and they will be thanked. I do have their names. I just can't think of it right now. And I don't want to say I don't want to include them. I just don't want to mess up their names on this video. But they will be thanked in my book for sure. They're going to have a spot in there because it helped me get to a point where I had enough confidence to build up myself for this project. So, but at this point, but it was going to cost a lot of money. I didn't have the money. It was going to be really tough. And I ended up just finally starting doing it and putting it together. And it's really helped me a lot of ways. I couldn't begin to tell you how many ways it's helped me. Emotionally, just through things, and just getting me through a lot of this stuff. So with all that said, my Without War, There's No Peace is going to be delayed a little bit longer, but it is going to be 10,000 times better. I've already redone up to chapter 5, and it's not the whole book. I don't have to gut the whole thing. There's nothing it's not going to take me hopefully too long after this, because it was the first probably about 10 chapters where I start getting better about telling the story instead of letting it just me narrate it to you in a big gob of essay and narrative style. So, and like I say, I don't do that now. My book 2 is pretty solid. It's pretty well written. I feel like my writing has gone a long ways. Am I going to say I'm Mark Twain or any of these Dante or any of these other, I don't know. I don't think that might right now, but I've had people say that it's coming along really well, and I am getting better every time I write. Every word I put out, everything I put it together, I'm gaining confidence. It sounds much better. And I mean, hopefully someday I'll actually come back and do a video where I compare my original writing, my original quote unquote final draft, with my current state of what's published. And I would love to go back and review all my thoughts and why I changed things and what I did, and how things came along. And I hope that these books, all of them, come together in the way I want them to. And I know they'll be in the way I want them to, but I hope they impress and leave an impression on folks and anyone else who reads them. Because there's a lot of messaging in this books. There's a lot of stuff that makes you think, critically, I believe, not just for political science, not just for everything, but just a reflection on yourself and a reflection on everybody and reflection on society, reflection on civilization, reflection on everything, and get us to think that we can do better for ourselves. We don't have to settle for things. And I will talk about this in a upcoming video here I'm planning on doing as well, where I talk about we need to go back and revisit some things. The founders, they were done in a previous time. Let's say that's called, and I compare it to maybe Civilization 7 or any of the Civilization games. I don't know if anyone's ever played them or not, and I do play them because I find them very puzzly for me, and they help me think and they help me relax and everything. But at the same time, there's a message here. There is, and deep down, it shows the world building format and how things can be built. And what it really shows is like the founders were founded in an exploration age. Let's call it that, and really was an exploration age where they came over. There was things that were going on in Europe to cause a lot of this immigration, and it's not different from today. And I don't want to distract from that, but they came over at a time when things were different. Things were more challenging, I guess, in a certain sense. They didn't have the technology. They didn't have that kind of thing. But how average run-of-the-mill people bonded together to help build our country, to help fight this revolution and become independent for freedom and liberty. And their message was in the Constitution, what they thought was good for them at the time. And of course, part of my book and part of my series and part of all this Sentinel Republic stuff is not to break them down. It's to build on the foundation that they laid. Unfortunately, we're not building on the foundation. We just keep throwing garbage on a garbage pit right now. And that's what I want people to think about, is passing 50 laws for every little minor thing that happens worth taking our liberty and freedom from. Yeah, there's tragedy. There is bad things that happen. Yes, I get all that, and some things do need to be addressed. But when you got to remember that you're eroding our freedom as you do it. And I talk about like our taxes, for instance. And that's my next video I do plan to do here shortly. I do have a big subject of this in my book about taxes. And I'm going to show you in this video what's coming up. I don't have them right now available, but what's going to show you is how they have learned. And I say they as politicians and our people in government that are taking away and by confusing and sticking their hands in every single pocket in our house and our livelihood and everywhere. And how it is entrapping everybody into this world of socialism and Marxism. And eventually we're going to get to a point where we have no freedom. And that's the goal. More government, more things, more, what do you want to say? Freedom's taken away, and eventually we'll be subservient to big government. We will not be independent anymore. And that's the beauty of socialism, right? It's been tried many times. Been tried for years and years. Have any of them passed? And any of them succeeded? You say China, but look, they have to use capitalistic society or capitalism in their government to keep their government alive. But then they, of course, use socialism on their people to keep them under control by the government. So is that the answer? You have to think about that, because it isn't. Not, and I want to be lived in. I want to have my own car. I want to have my own house, not a flat in some government provided thing, and a government job that's provided to you, and food that's provided to you, Soylent Green from the government. I remember how they make Soylent Green, because that's what you're looking at with socialism, folks. That's what it leads to. It's all best for the society. No, it isn't. Not for your freedom and independence. No, it isn't. And that's what we need to be aware of, and that's what we need to watch out for, and keep our eyes vigilant, and become more involved and more in line, and use our civic duties to help see that these politicians just live there. They're there for their own greed. They're getting up there so they can be the power. They can be the Caesars of my art. Like in my book, his name, the bad guy's his name's Caesar. He's just like wanting to be like Caesar. Caesar destroyed the Republic, did he not? That's when the Roman Empire became. So you got to remember, that's what the future of power and corruption takes you to. No more freedom. Yeah, did Rome survive a long time? Yeah, it did. And I do talk about that in my Lessons of History book. Did it survive a long time? Yeah. They prospered. They lived off of the Roman Republic for quite a few years, until you start seeing Nero and Caligula and all these other ones that come to pass. That's why monarchy and dictators don't, and succession doesn't work, does it? You've seen it in England. You've seen it in all these places where you take the power away from the people. You are totally in line with what dictators and people have. And I think that's what that's my messaging in at least my nonfiction series is, to stay vigilant and keep at it. And I hope there's some of these messages that get through, and help people think for themselves. I'm not asking everyone to agree with me. That's something I cannot do. I'm just providing you different ways of thinking, maybe questions you should ask. I even put some things in my first book that I don't agree with personally. I think some things should be more, some things should be less. But I'm trying to get ideas out there that get you to at least think and say, hey man, I never thought of it that way. And that's my goal in these books. Not to divide, not to cause, oh yeah, he's a very opinionated, oh, he's just a right-wing extremist or a left-wing extremist or whatever. No, that's not what we need to be doing here. People are going to have their opinions, and you can scream and yell at them all you want. You're not going to change their opinion. You go sit in the street and protest, that's actually going to hurt your cause, not help your cause. Think about that for a minute. Is it, you think you're going to go out there, infect someone's day, screaming at them, yelling at them to get your point across? Do you think they're going to change their mind for you? That is not going to change their mind. You think going throwing paint on a valuable piece of artwork is going to change someone's mind? No, it makes you look like a fool and a buffoon. And it hurts your cause. Instead of good debate, good civilized debate, not making yourself look crazy. I love having debates. I love seeing discourse, but not in a way where it gets violent and gets crazy, where you start yelling in the street, because what does that cause? It makes you look crazy and it hurts your cause. We need to get back to a point where we can actually civilly discuss things and put up ideas and say, hey, would this work? What do you think about this? Let's see what we can do about this to fix this thing. How can we help these people that don't believe this, that do believe that? And if you don't get your way, it's not because, oh, we hate you. It's because 90% of the people think you're wrong. And we can't change the opinion of 90% of the people to conform to 10%. And that's more of how things we're supposed to be done in our government. Small, incremental changes, not these 1,200-page massive bills of garbage thrown on top of this pile. Small changes. We need this. We need that. Okay, let's address this little small thing. And what can we do to incrementally change it? Well, this isn't working, so let's fix this little problem. Not go and make a 17th Amendment because of one state wouldn't want to send their legislature there, or because there was accusations of vote buying. Make the governor make a thing. We could make little changes, not extremely break our Constitution up. But then again, like I said in my video, that was done intentionally by politicians to gain power. So, with all that said, I didn't mean to go on this big rant at the end, but at the same time, that is the point of my books. I do want, and my story, and the Sentinel Republic and everything, is to find a way to help us work together to get back to a point where we can be not so divided. And remember, they're the ones keeping it that way too. We got to fight them. And I don't mean physical fight, and I don't mean revolution, but I mean at the same time, we got to get this on. They need term limits. You get these people sitting there for thousands of years. I know they don't live 1,000 years, but you know what I mean. Their whole life has been in Congress, in House, in the Senate, in politics. That's not how it was meant to be. None of these founders were there for their whole lives. Some of them kind of were, but because that was a different setup too at the time. But Washington went home. They all go home sometime back in the day. Now they just live there till they croak in office. And that's not how it's meant to be. That's why I love what I think I'm doing with the Sentinel Republic. Restoring that balance. Get these lifetimes people that are out there to make money out of that. Get the money out of it. Get the parties out of it. Quit bringing up all this division. Do what's best for our people in small little changes. We need an aircraft carrier. We build an aircraft carrier. We put a bill for an aircraft carrier. This is how much we need for an aircraft carrier. This is how it's going to affect our taxes for a short period of time. We quit going into debt. We want to make a tax system where we can just simply pay one tax. And we can change that based on what we need. But we don't help other countries. We don't do other things until we are out of debt. And then we can use surplus money and vote it in and do what the people want at the time. Do we help Ukraine or do we not? We ask the people. Do we help Israel or not? Do we send billions of dollars over there? Do we have it? Our soldiers aren't taken care of. Our veterans that are homeless in the streets, no, we got to help people here. We got to get our crap in order so we can help other people. Once we get out of debt, once we're them, we don't have to pay all this interest. Yeah, we have extra money. Our tax rate's going to be lower. Let the state and the local level help with Social Security and all this other stuff. We don't need it at the federal level. That's not what the federal government was supposed to be. We shouldn't be paying this amount of taxes to the federal government. Yeah, we need a strong military. Yeah, we need to have protection. We need Homeland Security, yes. But we don't need education at the federal level. We don't need all these other things at the federal level. We don't need welfare at the federal level. We need to have our states, and every state's different. Every state needs their own thing, and we need to manage that. They can have their own one tax rate. We need to get rid of all these hidden taxes that are stealing our money and causing corruption and no accountability to any of it. And that's what my books are about. It's not about conservatism, liberalism. It's about straight political science and governance and what needs to be done to help us get out of this situation. I mean, you could say, oh, left wing, we need bigger government. Well, right wing, we need limited government. No, we need to bring it to a point where we are transparent, where we see everything, where we got to get this under control, where we help ourselves to help others. So we could be more charitable. Why would we give when the government gives? If there's people are giving, people care, people want to tip, people want to give things. People want to help other people out. But at the same time, if every government's doing it itself and ripping the money out of us, and then all that goes to just government corruption, because how much, I mean, here, can anyone on the left here or the right here want to say, hey, how much of this, every dollar of tax dollars they pay, how much of it is taken to corruption? And I want to see anyone try to argue that it's not most of it. It all goes to all these people that are just bloated and corrupt, stealing money. And they make rules and laws to just keep taking. You think fees are not taxes? They're all there. Go down to your registration. That's all taxes. They could call it a fee all they want, but it's more tax, more tax. 911 tax. But you look at your phone bill, tax, 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 tax. And they hid them. They hide them in there. They take it from everywhere. They have hands in there everywhere, and all these places are run by corrupt people that have been there for years, and they're established, and you can't get rid of them. I know, I worked in the government long enough to see it. And that disgusted me. And that's not what we're meant to be. There's no transparency. It's so bloated and big, and you can't see anything with laws and things that are just out of this control. With all that said here today, I do hope you found this video informative. There's a lot of passion here, I know. But I feel we need to do the right thing and get to a point where we can get back on a page where we can help everybody and not just one big bloated government. And we can all be a part of that. So let's see where we go with all this. I do appreciate you joining me. And I hope this all makes sense. I hope it's informative. And I do appreciate all your time today for taking it out and spending it with me. And until next time, which will probably be my tax video, hopefully either this week or next week, stay free.